Hey guys, today we're going to be continuing our looks at the DC Comics Multiverse Steppenwolf wave as we have a look at Justice League member, The Flash. So how tall is the fastest man alive? Well, Flash stands from feet to the top of his helmet. He stands at 6.5 inches tall. For his collect and connect piece, Flash comes with the lower leg and also so happens to be the other leg that we need to finish the bottom half of Steppenwolf. Again, a lot of the feel kind of, I don't know, like some extra color could go onto this figure, because we've already discussed this before. Like, the same color palette was also in the Wonder Woman wave Ares, which just seems like to me like they had the excess blue, they had some kicking around, and they just, you know, dolloped it on there. Wish that they could have been a little bit more selective. I don't know. Just a little side thought. I'll probably talk more about it when we finish Steppenwolf. By the way, there he is right there. Quite a bit taller than Flash. We'll go ahead and take the other leg, plug it into the socket. Last time we got a very satisfying click. This time around we get a very satisfying click. And there is Steppenwolf so far next to the Flash. He's a good size figure, which I like. I don't feel robbed buying these figures to get a figure that, you know, is of equal size. That is the worst. No, here you get a good substantial size Steppenwolf. So far, digging it. All right, so let's have a look. It's funny that I just finished saying digging it. Let's have a look at Flash. Now, I have to admit, I like the figure. You know, I think the coloring and the fact that we've kind of looked at dark, muted colors, even on Superman, he didn't have the most vibrant reds or blues, you know, based on the character in the movie, the design. Flash is kind of like more of a vibrant red, so it's kind of a breath of fresh air. That's about where I would stop on the positive ends of it. Even though I really like the figure, I absolutely hate the Flash costume. That's just me specifically. Flash, I always think more so, and even really to that extent, like the TV series Flash. I think Flash should have just a fabric costume. Fastest man alive, I don't really see, to me, I don't picture plates. Like Flash here has, when I first looked at the design of Flash, the first thing I immediately thought of was the Injustice Gods Among Us designs, which seem to kind of go a little bit more towards plates, armor. I mean, he just looks like he's a bunch of different plates put together. Now, we haven't seen the movie. Obviously, the movie isn't out yet. Supposedly, he gets himself another costume in the movie. That maybe this is the equivalent of Peter Parker's homemade costume before Tony Stark gives him like the updated, you know, Spider-Man costume that we know and love. I like the homemade costume on Spider-Man. I'm not liking the homemade costume here on Flash. It just, again, looks like he just threw a whole bunch of stuff together. It still manages to read as Flash, because you've got things that you would expect Flash to have, like the little lightning bolts on the sides of his helmet, the lightning bolt deco on the front there, which looks like, might say, quite nice. Got the gold there and the lightning bolts on his belt, and he's even got that also in his legs. So those aspects are Flash. I mean, he got a little lightning bolts on his feet. The rest of it, though, is just a ragtag bunch of things that looks like he just threw together. I don't get the whole silver bands. I don't know what those are. Like, he just wrapped those around. It's too much for me. And while I do like the actor, I think that's playing Flash, I think he's going to be a good Flash. I just don't like the costume. And that's enough for me just not to be as much interested in the character, because normally I'm a big Flash fan. I really like Flash, but I just don't like this particular costume. So this is kind of going to be a bit of a gray review. Because on one end of it, I don't like the source material. But on the other end, that can't dictate the execution of the figure. The figure looks good based on source material I don't like, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Face sculpt I think is pretty good. Very neutral face sculpt once again. He doesn't have a big smile on his face, which I think could have gone a long way. But he's got a more just calmer, regular, subtle look on his face. The eyes are painted in there. He's got a little bit of whites reflecting on the irises. The sculpting, you can see very subtle sculpting there on the head. Different areas of texture there that you almost don't even see for a second, like a lightning bolt, for example, coming out from his eye and running along to the back of his helmet. So again, all these really small areas of detail that you kind of start appreciating, like the little, again, the texture work on the black aspects of the figure. My way of thinking, there really shouldn't be any black at all on the costume. But again, I digress. Maybe I'll warm up to it. Or again, maybe at the end of the movie, he'll have a more traditional Flash costume, and all of this will just be a bitter memory. Just a memory we all want to forget about. If you really like this costume, by all means, let me know down below, because I do like, you know, reading your comments and being able to discuss back and forth. You know, somebody might like it for this reason. Okay, let's talk about it. And they might add very well meaningful merits as to perhaps why this costume is so good. I just don't like it. Just don't like it. But again, the figure, I think, is a good execution for how he looks in the movie. This is a good example of how he looks like the source material. Superman, I point over here because Superman's over here. Superman is a bad example. You know what, let's just bring it in. I can't keep talking about Superman. Let's bring in Superman. Superman, I like the design in the movie. I hate the execution of the figure because the figure looks a poor representation of how he looks in the movie. Flash looks like a good representation. I just don't like the source material, if that makes any sense whatsoever. But even it almost even looks like Flash is bigger than Superman. Does that not say something, maybe something wrong with what we've done with the poor Man of Steel? Not only is he shorter, hold on a second, look how short he is versus the Flash, but Flash is also bigger than the body on Superman here. No, that doesn't jive for me. Anyways, let's go through his posability, shall we? His head rotates all the way around, via that ball joint that we know and love so much. Arms hinge outward. He's got the rotation all the way around on the arms here, and he's got the swivel on the bicep. He's got the what looks to be a hinge on the elbow, but also allows that forearm to rotate. He's also got a rotation in the hands. He's also got fingerless gloves. Everybody was wearing fingerless gloves. Upper torso crunch, something else that some of these figures unfortunately don't have. He's got the swivel in the waist, forward and back motion on the legs. They split outward. He's got a swivel on the top cut of the thigh, double hinge on the knee, and finally he's got the hinge on the foot. I cheated at the beginning of this review because I used a DC Universe display stand just so I could get him in a dynamic pose. That's probably what I'm going to do when I display this figure. I'm probably going to display it in mid-run, you know, where at least for an articulated figure like the Universe line, you can get some dynamic poses from this guy. Maybe a little bit better than obviously what I just did now, but you can get a little bit more of a dynamic pose for this guy. Lightning bolts would have been awesome to add to this guy as well, but I'm not going to be too picky when it comes to that sort of stuff. I'm sure like the DC collectibles releases of these guys probably will have some extra bells and whistles for Flash, for example. But there you go. There's the Flash. Not a bad figure all around. Periodically, one will be tested when it comes to reviewing a figure. It boils down to, well, do you like the source material and do you like the figure? Sometimes those two don't always match, where the source material may be something you don't like, but the figure is a good representation of it. Sometimes I just don't outright like the source material, and yet I still have to be unbiased when it comes to the figure itself. This particular figure of Flash is a good representation of how he looks like in the movie. Just because I don't like how he looks in the movie should not really weigh heavy on really the merits for what this figure delivers. I think it's still one of the better figures from this lineup, even though I don't like the costume at all on Flash. For that reason, I would almost say I would recommend picking this particular one up over even the Batman or the Superman, which is really strange for me to be saying that, because again, I don't like the costume. Chalk this one particular up to, well, chalk it up to the fact that I have to be unbiased when it comes to the figure itself. I don't like the material, but I think the figure is pretty good. Very strange. Today, once again, we were having a look at the DC Comics Multiverse. This just so happened to be the Justice League, the new Justice League movie line, and we're looking at movie Flash. I hope they change his costume. I really hope they change his costume. If you guys like this video, certainly hit it with a like down below. If you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe to this channel, what are you waiting for? Hit that little subscribe button down below. You won't miss a beat when it comes to future videos. And if you want to check out more Justice League movie figures, I've got a whole playlist on this channel that you can go back and check out all the previous videos that I've done for the Justice League. As always, guys, thanks for watching as you always do. I'll see you next time.